Markets end in red on profit booking. Sensex loses more than 75 points. Nifty ends at 72.23. SBI drops in volatile trade. Supreme Court asks Andhra Pradesh High Court to decide on Ranbaxy-Sun Pharma merger within 2 days. Andhra Pradesh High Court had passed an interim order staying the $4 billion merger of Ranbaxy with Sun Pharma. And Vodafone bets big on the new government. In an exclusive conversation, Martin Peters says that the new government will bring more clarity in the telecom sector, also hints on increasing the headline tariff. Well, hello and welcome to Business Wrap. I'm Sidhant, Sibal, and let's begin with our staple, that's the markets. But the markets ended in red today. Sensex lost 79 points to end at 24,298, while NSE Nifty lost 23 points to end at 72.23. Index heavyweight ITC slipped in a highly volatile trade. State Bank of India also dropped in volatile trade. Capital goods stocks were mixed. The BSE Small Cap Index was up close to 2%. On BSE, 1,949 shares gained and 805 shares fell. A total of 74 shares were unchanged. Losers on the chart were SBI, BHEL, Axis Bank, L&T and Bharti Airtel, which were down by between 3 to 2%. Gainers on the chart were Bajaj Auto, Hindalco, NTPC, SSLT and Coal India, which were up by between 5 to 1%. The market breadth indicating the overall health of the market was strong. Well, on to global market action. European stocks edged higher on Wednesday. Key benchmark indices in France and Germany were up by between 0.01% to 0.29%. In UK, the FTSE 100 was down 0.1%. On to Asian market action. Asian market edged lower on Wednesday as US stocks edged lower on Tuesday. Key benchmark indices in Taiwan, South Korea, Singapore, Japan and Indonesia were off by between 0.11% to 0.29%. Key benchmark indices in Hong Kong, China and Indonesia rose 0.01% to 0.84%. Well, on to the top story of the day. The Supreme Court today asked the Andhra Pradesh High Court to decide on the Ranbaxy-Sun Pharma issue within 2 days. The Andhra Pradesh High Court had passed an interim order staying the $4 billion merger of Ranbaxy with Sun Pharma. A bench of Justices B.S. Chauhan and A.K. Sikri asked the High Court to decide the issue and posted the case for hearing on May the 27th. The High Court had passed the order on a petition filed by 2 individual investors who alleged that there was heavy trading of Ranbaxy stocks before the merger with Sun Pharma was announced on April the 6th. The Mumbai-based Sun Pharma had on April 6 announced that it would fully acquire Ranbaxy in an all-stocks transaction which values the deal at $4 billion. On to news from the telecom sector. Vodafone is betting big on the new government and hopes that the new government will bring clarity in the telecom sector. Vodafone has also hinted on increasing the headline tariff, saying it's an eventuality which will come sooner or later. We bring you this special exclusive conversation with Vodafone India CEO Martin Peters. Well, India's telecom sector has seen many ups and downs in recent years. With me is the CEO of Vodafone India, Mr. Martin Peters. So welcome to Doordarshan News. My first question is, of course, the new government is set to take oath next week. What's your expectations?
Well, we have seen, especially in the telecoms industry, that in the last 5 years, after the 2G scam, the famous scam of the handing out of licenses, there was a lot of what we call paralysis in the government. There were hesitations to take decisions. And I'm sure that the new government, with a very strong mandate, will be able to take quick decisions.
Specifically talking about telecom sector, what's your demand from the new government? What kind of issues you will think should the government resolve, and top priorities for the telecom minister, the next telecom minister?
Well, take the example of ourselves. We only have 3G spectrum in half the country, while we are a very big operator. So what needs to happen is that more spectrum needs to be made available to the operators, because then we can all roll out broadband services and data services in the whole country. That's the first demand we would have. Second one is that our input cost, for example, for towers is very, very high because we use major diesel because there's in many, many places, many hours per day there is no electricity, no line power. So if the government over time could resolve the energy issue, that would also be fantastic good news for us because our cost would go down.
Talking about the Indian economy in past few years have seen below 5% growth. As the head of a company which is one of the topmost companies in the world, where do you think the Indian economy will go from now on?
I'm sure it will go up from now onwards. We've seen the low point, but I also said today in my speech that I'm not expecting a very, very quick recovery. There are some low-hanging fruits that can be harvested easily, and I'm sure that the new government will do that.
Now talking about the telecom sector itself, do you think there will be a chance of the headline tariff going up from now onwards, and will Vodafone, that's a crucial question, will also follow in this revision of the headline tariff?
Since our input costs go up every year, we will also need to bring our pricing up. And we did that last year. We increased overall our pricing with 6.2%. That is not a major price increase, but it is important for us.
Back to the studio. So that was Vodafone betting big on the India growth story. Time for a short break, more after this break.
अगर सीमेंट सर्वरोधक न हो तो हानिकारक हो सकता है।
श्री अल्ट्रा रेड ऑक्साइड, भारत का विश्वसनीय जंगरोधक सीमेंट।
अरे हरकू वाह, बीज, कीटनाशक और आज खाद भी। अरे इतना खर्चा कहाँ से?
खर्च की चिंता किसे है? मेरे पास है ये किसान क्रेडिट कार्ड।
कार्ड?
बैंकों द्वारा जारी इस कार्ड से किसान उसकी सीमा तक की रकम कभी भी बैंक से निकलवा सकता है और खेती बाड़ी की सामग्री कभी भी खरीद सकता है।
तो हरकू भैया एक कार्ड मेरे लिए भी।
किसान क्रेडिट कार्ड के लिए नजदीकी बैंक से संपर्क करें और पाएं ढेर सारे लाभ।
मिलावट महामारी बनती जा रही है।
मुझे तो सबसे ज्यादा फिक्र देश के बच्चों और युवाओं की है।
अगर वो हेल्दी नहीं रहेंगे तो भारत स्वस्थ नहीं होगा।
तो क्या अब कुछ नहीं हो सकता?
बिल्कुल हो सकता है। मिलावट से ये जंग सहारा क्यू शॉप लड़ रहा है।
ये जंग आज पूरे भारत को लड़नी है और खासतौर से युवाओं को।
ये जंग क्वालिटी से ही लड़ी जा सकती है
और क्वालिटी का दूसरा नाम है
सहारा क्यू शॉप।
क्यू प्रोडक्ट्स अब भारत के 450 शहरों में 1150 से भी ज्यादा एक्सक्लूसिव सहारा क्यू शॉप्स और चुनिंदा नजदीकी किराना स्टोर्स पे उपलब्ध है।
सहारा क्यू शॉप से जुड़िए
क्योंकि क्वालिटी हम सबका हक है।
Welcome back. Now on to other top business stories of the day. Well, the Reserve Bank of India has simplified the documentation for NBFCs or non-banking financing companies. Now there will be a common application form for NBFCs, NBFC microfinance institutions and infrastructure development finance NBFCs. Well, to deepen the nascent corporate bond market, the Reserve Bank of India has proposed allowing banks to provide partial credit enhancements to the debt instrument. RBI released a draft circular on allowing partial credit enhancements to corporate bonds and invited comments from stakeholders by the end of next month. Continuing with the news from the Reserve Bank of India, Reserve Bank of India Governor Raghuram Rajan said containing fiscal deficit is essential for achieving sustainable growth and underlined the need for developing a good system to deal with bad loans in banking sector. Referring to rising bad loans in the banking sector, he said it will not go away soon. He said that if it gets worse, banks need to recognize the problem quickly and deal with it. Well, Budget Airline Go Air's plans to start international operations from April next year, even as it wants to maintain focus on domestic operations with passenger output on the rise. Company said that the carrier will deploy 13% of its capacity to international operations within 5 years from the start, while the rest would remain in domestic service. Well, US search giant Google has overtaken rival technology titan Apple as the world's top brand in terms of value. According to global market research agency Millward Brown, Google's brand value shot of 40% in a year. Apple, which dominated the top position for 3 straight years, saw its brand value fall by 20%. Well, on to Deal Street. We have been hearing murmurs of a Flipkart-Myntra merger since January. Now, news has it that Flipkart has brought a major stake in Myntra in a cash and stock deal that could value the company between 1800 to 2000 crore rupees. Flipkart is likely to announce its merger with rival Myntra on Thursday. Neither Flipkart or Myntra confirmed it, but sources close to the deal said that agreement has been sealed and only signatures are left to be done.
A big wave in the stream of e-commerce as Flipkart India Private Limited is buying a majority stake in online fashion retailer Myntra.com, a deal that is set to be announced this week. The long-awaited cash and stock deal is likely to value Myntra at about 300 to 330 million. This will be country's first major consolidation in e-commerce, a market estimated at 2 billion of the organized retail pie. Two common investors at Flipkart and Myntra, Tiger Global Management and Acer Partners, first proposed the deal last year, partly in response to aggressive moves by Amazon.com. The company will hold a press conference on Thursday to announce an important strategic development. India's e-commerce market valued at 3.1 billion by securities firm. It is becoming increasingly competitive. After 2 years of consolidation that involved many e-commerce sites shutting up shop, the top four, that is Flipkart, Snapdeal.com, Myntra and Jarong.com, have raced away from the rest of the pack, and they have been joined by Amazon. Amazon launched its India's marketplace in June last year and has already built one of the largest online product assortments. Amazon has been lobbying heavily to convince India to allow FDI in e-commerce. Flipkart and Myntra, both based in Bangalore, expect together to give a competition to Amazon. Flipkart's eminent deal with Myntra will help the company keep Amazon at a bay. India prohibits FDI in e-commerce but allows it in the marketplace model. With Flipkart big in electronics and books, a pact with Myntra is likely to grow its fashion business and market share. Myntra claims it is already half the size of the largest offline fashion store, referring to Shoppers Stop. It is learned Flipkart and Myntra would remain separate entities even after merger. Business Bureau, DT News.
Interesting times for the Indian e-commerce sector. Well, continuing with other stories, everyone knows how important infrastructure is for the country, and with the new government at the helm, many hope some fast-tracking of major infra projects will take place. Here are a few suggestions for the new government. It's one thing that India lacks and is in dire need for it. That's infrastructure. So what should the government do? Power sector. Denationalization of the coal sector could be one thing which the government can do. Creation of a national power distribution company along the lines of NTPC and Power Grid is another. Government should announce 2 to 3 mega infrastructure projects. Example, high-speed passenger train corridors, river linkages, major highways, bringing Pakka road to each village. India's teeming cities are in dire need of some help. Government could start with the setting up of Commission on Urbanization. Creation of new cities with modern transport is also important. Also extend JNNURM to National Cleanliness Drive. Transportation within the country also needs a boost. For this, the vast network of railways should be modernized. Railways should be corporatized and the Indian Railway Corporation should be created. Ports, which are the gateway to the country, also need some urgent help. Privatization of public sector ports could be one way out. What India today needs is infrastructure on a gigantic proportion. The 12th five-year plan envisages investment of $1 trillion in next 5 years. A Barclays research report estimates about $25 million worth of order pipeline to be finalized in next 12 to 18 months. Business Bureau, DD News. Well, railways form an important part of infrastructure, but for years this lifeline of the country has been sidelined. Many are hoping on Modi to transform the Indian railways. Newspaper reports suggest that Modi would like technocrat and metro man of India E. Sridharan to implement his mission of transforming the Indian railways. Shares of the companies linked to the railways have rallied up to 20% as investors believe that Narendra Modi-led government would try to revive the sector as part of its infrastructure drive. Railways, a ministry which is considered politically hot potato. In UPA 2, the ministry at a certain point saw 4 ministers in a year. But despite this, several hard decisions were taken, including the proposal to implement fuel adjustment component and also setting up of the Rail Tariff Authority to advise the railways on passenger and freight rates. With the new regime at the center, much more is expected. Safety, cleanliness, modernization, getting more investment and prevention of accidents are top priorities. All this can be achieved through one way: investments, investments and investments. One way to get investment is FDI in railways. This may permit foreign investors to fully own services in suburban areas, laying high-speed tracks and connection to ports, mines and power installations, thereby attracting an estimated $5 billion of investment. Also involve more private players. PPP model can be one way. Indian Railways carry over 20 million passengers every day and continue to deliver services unabated despite limited resources. There is a need to make railways more profitable and efficient to carry millions of people across its vast network. The need of the hour is to provide better amenities, cleaner carriages and ensure security and safety with particular focus on women besides eliminating accidents. Business Bureau DG News. Well, on to some global news. China is banning Windows 8 devices from at least some government IT purchases in a mysterious move that took Microsoft off guard. China has long been a troublesome market for Microsoft. Former CEO Steve Ballmer reportedly told employees in 2011 that Microsoft earned less revenue in China than in the Netherlands, even though computer sales matched those of the US. Here is a report.
China is banning Windows 8 devices from at least some government IT purchases in a mysterious move that took Microsoft off guard. The ban came from China's Central Government Procurement Center, which posted a brief notice last Friday on new requirements for government tenders. Among the demands is that Windows 8 be excluded from the bidding process on computer purchases. Beijing issued the restriction as part of a decree about the use of energy-saving products. However, few reports said that security concerns related to the foreign operating systems had led to this move. On the other side, Microsoft said that it was surprised to see Windows 8 referenced in the Chinese government notice. The company added that it was working to ensure all its software meets government procurement requirements. At the same time, the company said they are working on the Windows 8 evaluation with relevant government agencies.
Well, there are two elements here. One is technical, whatever the specific reasons that the Chinese have, and one is political. And when you're dealing with China and large multinational organizations like Microsoft, there's always a political angle. And so Microsoft is going to have to work with the Chinese government to get these restrictions lifted so that it can continue selling in the country.
Last month, Microsoft ended support for the 13-year-old Windows XP to encourage the adoption of newer, more secure versions of Windows. This has potentially left XP users vulnerable to viruses and hacking. Former Microsoft chief executive Steve Ballmer reportedly told employees on 2011 that because of piracy, the firm earned less revenue in China than in the Netherlands, even though demand matched that of the US. Business Bureau, GD News.
Well, skill development plays a major role in accelerating the growth rate of a country. India is the world's second fastest growing economy and the share of service sector is rapidly increasing. We take a look at this special report on skill development.
Skill development plays a major role in accelerating the growth rate of a country. India is the world's second fastest growing economy and the share of service sector is rapidly increasing. The current share is at about 60%. To reach a double-digit growth rate like China, India will have to strengthen its manufacturing sector, which currently lacks investment in infrastructure along with shortage of skilled and well-trained workforce. National Skill Development Corporation, also known by its acronym NSDC, has been set up in India to train young people and help them develop work-related skills. The World Bank has recently sanctioned funds to aid skill development program in India.
इसमें जो हमारा जो लक्ष्य है 50 करोड़ लोगों को 2022 तक ट्रेन करने के लिए हमें आज की डेट में 15 करोड़ सालाना की कैपेसिटी चाहिए थी, लेकिन अगर आप देखें तो इस पिछले साल जो 31 मार्च 2014 तक करीब 77 लाख या 74 लाख लोग इसके लिए मिले। तो एक जो काफ़ी एक बहुत ज़रूरत है कि अगले 1 या 2 साल में हम इस 73 लाख को 15 करोड़ पे कैसे लेके जाएं।
India is a booming market for skill development training. According to an estimate, India has $20 billion a year market. Recently, outgoing Prime Minister Manmohan Singh had said that looking at the economic growth rate, India will need 34 crore skilled people by 2022. The goal can be attained only by investing in the infrastructure, especially corporate investment.
तो इन्वेस्टमेंट में जो प्राइवेट सेक्टर सामने आते हैं इन्वेस्ट करती है स्किल डेवलपमेंट पर, उनके सामने 3 चुनौतियाँ हैं। पहले चुनौती है कि लोग देश में इतने सारे नौकरियां हैं कि लोग अपने पैसे दे करके स्किल डेवलपमेंट करें और उन नौकरियां पाएँ। दूसरी चुनौती ये है कि कौन पैसे देगा स्किल डेवलपमेंट के लिए। तीसरा जो सबसे बड़ी चुनौती है कि हुनर के लिए और स्किल प्रोग्राम्स के लिए कोई रिकग्निशन नहीं है।
If Indian economy has to reach the top, then huge investment is required in the skill development sector. Asim Mishra, GD News, New Delhi.
Well, news just coming in that the rupee has closed at 58.77 against the US dollar. Clearly, rupee gaining strength against the US currency. Continuing with other stories, even after 6 decades since independence, there is a shortage of world-class institutions in the country. With rational policies, practical and intellectual autonomy, the country can have world-class institutions, and PPP models are crucial to this.
Once again, no Indian university or higher education institution has found a place in the list of 200 top universities. The yardstick for this ranking is based on quality of research, educational acumen. In the age of globalization, where the Indian economy is emerging strong, there is a need for world-class institutions, hospitals, ports, airports and roads, so that India becomes part of the developed nations of the world. But the shortage of such institutions is being felt by everyone.
जब वर्ल्ड क्लास इंस्टीट्यूशंस हम बात करते हैं तो उसमें बहुत सारी चीज़ें होती हैं। सबसे पहले उसमें इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर होता है। तो हमारे यहाँ पर हम लोगों ने इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पे इन यूनिवर्सिटीज़ के बहुत इसमें पैसा नहीं खर्च किया।
World-class institutions have to be built on the basis of making perfect policies more broad-based and empowering. Intellectual freedom as well as complete autonomy have to be the hallmarks of such institutions. The role of government as well as private sector is crucial to such institutes.
जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है उसके बारे में हम लोगों ने शुरू से अपना ध्यान नहीं दिया था। ये आशा है कि जैसे जैसे अभी बहुत से इश्यूज जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के थे अब तय हो गए हैं, तो आगे आने वाले समय में इसके ऊपर इन्वेस्टमेंट्स फिर पिकअप करेगा।
In order to have 50 top world-class institutions by 2031, we need such a national policy which is based on autonomy, transparency, decentralization, accountability, diversity as well as global outlook. It is hoped that in the coming days, India will be ranked in the list of top world-class institutions and the dream will come true. Asim Mishra's report, GD News, New Delhi.
Well, time for the recap of the main business stories. Markets end in red on profit booking. Sensex loses more than 75 points. Nifty ends at 72.23. SBI drops in volatile trade. Supreme Court asked Andhra Pradesh High Court to decide on Ranbaxy Sun Pharma merger within 2 days. Andhra Pradesh High Court had passed an interim order staying the $4 billion merger of Ranbaxy with Sun Pharma. And Vodafone bets big on the new government. In an exclusive conversation, Martin Peters says that the new government will bring more clarity in the telecom sector, but also hints on increasing the headline tariff. But that's all in this edition of Business Wrap. Thanks for watching. Namaskar.